Good evening and welcome to the senior episode of NewsNight. Tonight you'll have all your international, national, and local news. I'm Zoe Vitelli. Hear about a woman that recently resurfaced after spending over a year in a cave. Also find out more about a record-breaking heat wave warming up countries in Asia. All this and more coming up on NewsNight. Sudan's capital of Khartoum has become a place of turmoil after powerful rivaling military factions have broken into conflict. After years of tension between the Sudan Army and a powerful paramilitary group called the Rapid Support Forces, fighting broke out last Saturday. Previously allies, the group seized power in a 2021 coup. The groups are fighting over the integration of the RSF into the military, and it has created questions around who will truly be in power during this integration period. Most of the fighting is taking place in Khartoum, but there are conflicts all over the country that have attributed to at least 270 people's deaths and thousands more in injuries. The death toll at this point is only an estimate, as many bodies have been left in the street and are unreachable during the clashes. Early on Wednesday, Sudanese troops called for a ceasefire after an earlier truce agreement fell through. Civilians have been trapped in their homes by the fighting, and many are holding out hope that the violence stops. Many stores and shops in Khartoum are being raided and looted by armed men. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken initially spoke with the two rivals, General Abdel Fattah Burhan and General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, to arrange Wednesday's ceasefire. But the fighting continued even after the start of the truce, and each side blamed the other for the failure. There are concerns that this fighting could escalate and destabilize the region. This would jeopardize Sudan's relations with its neighbors and open more issues with South Sudan. Vladimir Kara-Murza, an opposition activist located in Russia, was sentenced to 25 years in prison for treason this Monday. The oppositionist was accused of spreading false information about the president and the Russian army, while being accused of being a part of a, quote, undesirable organization. Kara-Murza was formerly a Russian-British journalist and politician that has spent years speaking out against Putin, and now recently the war against Ukraine. His sentencing was ruled the longest sentencing since the war in Ukraine began and has since garnered opposition from fellow activists and politicians. They claim that his sentencing was politically motivated and a sign of a brutal crackdown against critics. Political tensions seem to be rising after the French president's recent trip. Reporter Brendan McNamara has more on the story.
Thank you, Zoe. President Emmanuel Macron of France took a 3-day trip to China, where he met with the Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing. Over the course of his trip, he exposed the disunity in Europe over China by throwing Taiwan under the bus. He suggested that Europe should not join the United States in defending Taiwan should the Chinese invade. President Macron stated that his intention for the trip was to try to urge Xi Jinping to coax Vladimir Putin into ending the war in Ukraine. However, he was accompanied by a plane load of business leaders. Some $15 billion worth of business deals were signed for nuclear energy, wind power, cosmetics, Airbus jets, poultry, beef, and pork, among many others. The two presidents then signed a 51-point joint declaration that mentioned only a vague goal to, quote, support all efforts to restore peace in Ukraine, end quote. The joint declaration had nothing condemning Russia's clear aggression or word of China using its leverage over Putin. France also signed a new agreement aimed at deepening exchanges between the Chinese military and the French military units located in the Pacific. On his flight home, Macron suggested that Europe needed to, quote, avoid becoming America's followers and getting caught up in crises that are not ours, end quote. The outcry from the United States, Europe, and especially Taiwan has been swift and harsh as the U.S. and its allies will have to deal with the fallout from this trip. Back to you, Zoe.
A Spanish athlete takes challenge to a deeper level after spending over a year in a cave. NewsNight senior and reporter Callie Rusomano is here with the incredible story. Callie?
What do you think would happen if you spent 500 days alone in an underground cave? It doesn't sound easy or pleasant, but Spanish athlete and climber Beatriz Flamini, age 50, has just successfully completed this exact feat. Flamini descended 230 feet below the surface on November 21, 2021, and resided in a cave located in southern Spain outside of Granada until re-emerging on April 14th. Her goal was to find out what extreme isolation can do to the mind and body, as well as test her own survival limits. With the help of a support team and scientists from universities of Almeria, Granada, and Murcia, Flamini was able to sustain a healthy quality of life without any interaction. They would deliver food and dispose of any waste at a designated drop-off point, and were directed to not contact Flamini under any circumstances until the 500 days were up. Flamini recorded her experience in the cave using a GoPro camera so her team could monitor her health, but clips will also be used in a documentary detailing the whole expedition.
Record-breaking heat waves hit Southeast Asia and other parts of the continent over the past few days. Thailand and China have experienced the worst of the extreme conditions as of last Friday, the temperature reached around 114 degrees Fahrenheit. Thailand's previous record temperature was 112 degrees Fahrenheit, along with hundreds of provinces between Thailand and China experiencing record highs for the month of April. As Southeast Asian countries are hosting their New Year's celebrations, residents are advised to stay indoors to avoid heat strokes, as climate specialists predict the temperatures could get even worse. And coming up after the break, we will have the details on various national shootings. Also hear about a lawsuit being filed against a county jail. Stick with us.
Regular physical activity is one of the most important things you can do for your health. The benefits of physical activity include brain health, weight management, reducing disease, strengthening your bones and muscles, and improving your ability to do everyday activities. So, it's time to get up and be active.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Thanks for hearing me out, bro.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
Early Wednesday, 2 teenage boys were arrested in connection with a shooting at a Sweet 16 party in Dadeville, Alabama that left 4 people dead. 17-year-old Tyreek McCullough and 16-year-old Travis McCullough were arrested Tuesday night. The deceased victims were all under the age of 24. 19-year-olds Marcia Collins, 18-year-old Philstavius Dowell, 23-year-old Corbin Holston, and 17-year-old Shawnkeevia Smith. Dowdle was the brother of the teen celebrating her birthday, the family says. A star football player at Dadeville High School with a scholarship to play at Jacksonville State University, his mother said that he was everything that you would want in a son. 32 others were also injured in this shooting, and at least 15 of them were teenagers. This is now the United States' 160th mass shooting in just the first 16 weeks of the year, according to Gun Violence Archive. President Joe Biden extended his prayers to the family, but also called to Congress to reach an agreement on gun control legislation. The community of Dadeville is shrouded in grief and confusion. Local pastor Ben Hayes says, quote, "Everybody knows everybody. That's why this is so difficult. I knew these kids personally. Most people did." End quote. Each suspect will be charged as an adult with 4 counts of reckless murder. A man in Atlanta, Georgia was found dead in his jail cell after being eaten alive by bed bugs and other insects back in September. The man, identified as LaShawn Thompson, who was arrested and jailed in Fulton County Jail Psychiatric Wing for a misdemeanor. After 3 months, his body was found infected with bed bugs on his face and torso and had signs of extreme skin picking. While bed bugs themselves aren't inherently deadly, an extreme untreated infestation could cause allergic reactions, anaphylactic shock, and severe anemia, which could be lethal. The autopsy declared that Thompson's death was undetermined, and Mr. Thompson's family has called for closure and replacement of the jail and a criminal investigation within their pending lawsuit. Their attorney, Michael Harper, said, quote, "They put that man in the cell, left him there to die, and that is exactly what happened," end quote. As of now, there is a full investigation into the situation, and the Fulton County Sheriff's Office has spent $500,000 to rehabilitate the jail's vermin infestations. United States and Chinese tensions grow after evidence is shown of espionage on American soil. Reporter Brenda McNamara has more details on the story.
Thank you, Zoe. On Monday, the FBI revealed evidence that shows expanding espionage and security activity by the Chinese government on U.S. soil. The Justice Department announced 3 cases, each of which suggests even more brazen activity by the Chinese government in the U.S. following the spy balloon incident. One case involves Chinese security officials allegedly spying on Zoom calls and then harassing Chinese dissident participants identified as targets. 10 Chinese officials and a telecommunications company employee were charged with conspiracy. Another case involves Chinese security officials allegedly setting up a police station in New York City to use as a base of operations to spy on and intimidate Chinese dissidents who live in the city. The unsealed charges allege that 2 defendants operated an illegal overseas police station located in Lower Manhattan for a branch of the Ministry of Public Security of China. The 2 men are said to be involved in a number of activities on American soil, including counter-protesting and targeting specific Chinese dissidents for harassment. The DOJ also announced charges against 34 members of a specialized unit inside China. This unit is run by the National Police or the Public Security Ministry and allegedly made fake social media accounts, including on Twitter, to harass Chinese dissidents in the U.S. and to spread propaganda. Federal government officials have been concerned about illegal Chinese police stations since at least November of last year. Back to you, Zoe.
A 911 call about a burning mannequin is not what it seems when first responders arrive. Reporter Cade Montgomery is here with all the details.
On this past Sunday, April 15th at around 8 a.m., fire crews in Ruskin, Florida, around 30 miles south of Tampa, responded to a 911 call that described a mannequin burning in a field behind a residential area, according to a press release from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Miami Herald News reported that once crews made it to the scene, they discovered that it was not a mannequin, but instead a burning human body in the field. The burning individual was apparently already deceased before being burned, with investigators determining that the individual had upper body trauma. The press release stated that the person's gender and age could not be determined at the time. According to the sheriff's office, the case is currently being considered a homicide, but a full autopsy report has not yet been completed. Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Crostner told Miami Herald, quote, "Our deputies are doing everything they can to determine what happened to this person. We do believe this is an isolated incident, and we will continue to work tirelessly until we determine how this horrific crime occurred," end quote.
A 16-year-old boy was shot in the face after accidentally ringing the doorbell of the wrong house. The teen, Ralph Yarl, was trying to pick up his younger siblings when he mistakenly went to the wrong house. Yarl is in the hospital in stable condition, but friends and neighbors have been protesting the area in response to the police's actions regarding the situation. The shooter, who remains unnamed, was released after 24 hours in police custody. The shooter has yet to be charged, and police are seeking more forensic evidence as well as a statement from the victim. Police are not yet marking this off as a hate crime, with Clay County Police Chief saying in a statement to CNN, quote, "The information we have now, it does not say that it was racially motivated. That's still an active investigation. But as the Chief of Police, I do recognize the racial components of the case," end quote. Police are continuing to investigate this crime. When we get back from this break, we'll have all your local Pittsburgh news. Find out about the multiple strikes taking place at a local university and at a stadium. Plus, hear more about a prominent artistic figure coming to our very own Point Park University. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss this.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Welcome back to
Daybreak.
Chicken Guy opened in PPG Place on Monday.
The bridge would open before the 1 year marks to check out the 20th annual gingerbread display.
Share with you this week's Ray of Sunshine.
We are still somehow hanging around in the playoff.
It gives Georgia Democrats some hold onto the governing body.
200,000 people still in harm's way.
This weather is perfect for those cozy nights indoors.
Hey!
I'm an actor in an ad that was given 12 seconds to remind you that if you're high, just don't drive. Because if you feel different, you drive different. It's illegal to drive high everywhere anyway.
As 20-year-old Amelia Aceves sat in the University of Pittsburgh's Hillman Library this week, she said that police, quote, burst in yelling, "Go, go, go!" And she says that everyone was terrified, that they thought there was an active shooter on campus. Quote, "I looked and there was terror in both the police officers and the students' eyes. I thought, this is real. It's finally happening to me." But in reality, there was no shooter. There was no threat. However, it wasn't until nearly an hour and a half later that an emergency notification was sent out from the school notifying the students of any threats. The only sources of information that students could find were on social media, and the graphic videos of students jumping barricades and officers shooting into the building only fed concerns. In response to the lack of emergency notifications, students with the group Do Better Pitt held a die-in to demand better timeliness and more transparency from the university. About 100 students laid down outside the Cathedral of Learning on Friday afternoon for 82 minutes. That is the same amount of time that it took for the notification to reach students. The University of Pittsburgh says that it is committed to doing better and making all necessary changes to, quote, ensure accurate information is available to our Pitt community in a timely manner. Duquesne University police officers are now on strike after failed negotiations to reach a contract agreement. Members of the police department have been without a contract for months now. The union representing university officers and university representatives held a meeting Sunday night in order to reach a deal, but was unsuccessful. According to the Post-Gazette, the union is demanding higher wages, an improved retirement plan, and health care coverage. The university says that tentative agreements were reached and is willing to work with the police department more. University President Gabriel Welsh told Post-Gazette, quote, we respect the nature of the work of our officers' performance and value very much of their professionalism and commitment to the safety of our students, faculty, staff, and visitors," end quote. Over 20 people could be seen rallying Monday morning outside of the Public Safety Building on Stevenson and Locust Street. Duquesne University Police Chief says that while the strike is occurring, there will continue to be ensured safety for regular campus activities. Also on strike tonight are PNC Park employees after failing to reach a contract agreement with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pittsburgh Stadium Independent Employees Union voted to strike immediately after rejecting the contract proposed by the baseball franchise. According to the Tribune Review, this union includes ushers, greeters, hosts, ticket sellers, and takers. They say they plan to picket outside PNC Park Thursday at 4 p.m. before the Pirates take on the Cincinnati Reds at 6:35. Union board members say that they will be contacting Pirate management to further plan a potential agreement. After nearly 5 years since the attack at the Tree of Life Synagogue, a federal trial is set to begin this week. Our reporter Callie Russomano is here with the details.
Jury selection for the Tree of Life Synagogue shooting trial is set to begin next week, according to WESA. Nearly 5 years ago, the shooting killed 11 Jewish worshippers during Shabbat morning services on October 27, 2018. The attack also wounded 6 more people and is believed to represent the deadliest assault on Jews in U.S. history. Robert Bowers is charged in the attack with more than 60 federal charges, including hate crimes, obstruction of religious belief, and using a firearm during a violent crime. His federal trial is set to begin Monday, April 24th, and it could result in the death penalty. The trial is expected to last about 3 months and will take place at the federal courthouse downtown. According to WESA, criminal trials usually do not last that long, but capital cases consist of 2 phases. One to determine whether the defendant is guilty and another to determine whether he should be executed. Like all cases, a 12-member jury will make these decisions after they are selected next week. In a perfect world, these 12 members would know very little about the case prior to the trial. Experts are doubting whether a jury can truly be impartial in such a high-profile capital case. The jury selection process is expected to last 3 weeks and will examine each jury member's history, biases, and more.
Renowned choreographer Twyla Tharp will discuss her 6-decade career during an audience participation talk on April 23rd, right here at Point Park University's Pittsburgh Playhouse, according to Trib Total Media. An evening with Twyla Tharp will start at 7 p.m. in conjunction with COPA's spring concert and presentation of Tharp's Sweet Fields piece. Having Tharp visit Point Park is a creative coup for the dance program, according to Garfield Lemonius, Dean and Artistic Director of COPA. When asked what made her come to Point Park, Tharp told Trib Total Media that her respect for Garfield Lemonius led her here. For those of you who don't know, Tharp has choreographed 129 dances, 12 television specials, 6 Hollywood movies, 4 full-length ballets, 4 Broadway shows, and 2 figure skating routines. Her honors include Tony and Emmy Awards, the 2004 National Medal of the Arts, and a 2008 Kennedy Center honor. Tharp founded her own dance company in 1965 and is known for pushing the boundaries with her choreography. Lemonius told Trib Total Media, quote, "Twyla Tharp is a giant in the arts community in America, if not the world. To have this American icon in our presence will mean so much not only to our students, faculty, and staff, but to folks who are in the arts community and not in the arts community in Pittsburgh," end quote. One of Tharp's repetitors has trained students to perform her piece, while here, Tharp will have a sit-down with the students. Tickets for an evening with Twyla Tharp are available through the Playhouse. Giant Eagle stores are making headlines again by reinstituting sending customers advertisements through the mail. Cade Montgomery is here with the exciting details about this decision and what new twist is in store for these ads. Cade?
That's right, Zoe. Many shoppers were upset when grocery store chain Giant Eagle announced this past February that they would be moving away from delivering weekly advertisements to households via mail. But the company just announced that print ads will be mailed to homes in the Pittsburgh area once again. According to WTAE, this new 2-page printed advertisement will also include a QR code that can be scanned to see even more items that are on sale at the Giant Eagle website. In a statement this past Monday, Senior Vice President of Merchandising, Brian Ferrer, said, quote, "Our new printed circular will showcase huge savings on some of our most popular items and will provide an opportunity for customers to discover hundreds of additional sale items by scanning the QR code that will be featured on the front page of every circular," end quote. The advertisement also made a recent comeback the week of Easter, as the company had said previously that it would still be mailed during the holidays. The weekly Giant Eagle advertisement is expected to be back in Pittsburgh area mailboxes starting on May 2nd.
Yesterday, candidates for the next Allegheny County executive met in Lawrence Hall to debate before the primary elections. The event was put on and moderated by Next Pittsburgh and Public Sources. All candidates were presented and included Democrats Dave Fawcett, a lawyer, and former Republicans Sarah Innamorato, current state representative Michael Lamb, current city controller Will Parker, a mobile app developer, John Weinstein, current county treasurer, and Teresa Shuley-Colazzi, former school board member. The one Republican candidate is Joe Rocky, former PNC Financial Services executive. Points of discussion included the candidates' envision for their position, their previous professional experiences, the Allegheny County Jail, affordable housing, the COVID-19 pandemic, property tax assessments, air quality and the environment, public transit fees, and the quote, white elephant in the room, which was tax-free nonprofits like UPMC and Allegheny Health Networks. The debate was live streamed and is available to watch on Public Source's website. The primary election will be held Tuesday, May 17th. When we return from this break, we will have an update on what classic monument is returning to its rightful home. Plus, we'll have an update on this week's weather roller coaster ride with weather reporter Devin and me. We'll be right back.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
One of Pittsburgh's iconic Heinz ketchup bottles has made its way back to Acrisure Stadium, according to WPXI. The 35-foot fiberglass icon was recently removed when Heinz Field was renamed this past summer. The colossal condiment will be displayed at the newly renamed Heinz Gate. Back in January, Art Rooney II told WPXI that Gate C at Acrisure Stadium would become Heinz Gate. Though it's still not the Heinz Field name that most Pittsburghers are mourning, the Heinz name still surrounds the stadium and represents Pittsburgh pride. Pittsburgh weather giving you whiplash? Don't fret, weather reporter Devin and me is here to prepare you for this week's forecast. Devin?
Pittsburgh weather sure has been keeping us on our toes recently as the temperatures continue to lack a middle ground between being bitter cold or blazing hot. Tomorrow, the temperature is expected to reach the highest for this upcoming week, peaking at a whopping 86 degrees. The warm temperature with mostly sunny day will make this the perfect day to spend outdoors. However, the UV index will be at level 8, which is very high, so be sure to apply that sunscreen. As night falls, the temperature is expected to drop to 60 degrees. Now let's look at the rest of the week. As the week goes on, temperatures are expected to drop again significantly. Friday, we will see a high of 82 degrees with showers throughout the afternoon, but that is the last super warm day we should be seeing over the weekend. The temperatures are going to drop to 68 on Saturday and 49 on Sunday. Thunderstorms and dense cloud coverage are expected. As we roll into next week, the temperatures will stay at a consistent mid to high 50s with mostly cloudy and rainy days. That's all I have for you this week. Now let's send it back to the desk.
So this being the senior episode and the first time that I have anchored NewsNight since my freshman year, I have a couple words just to be a little dramatic about it. So everyone knows here that I've never been one to spare the dramatics. So I just want to take a quick second to savor the moment where my UVU career comes full circle. So just give me a second here. Thinking back to my freshman year when Jesse told me to come to this show because I was the only other broadcast major in the room, I could have quite literally never prepared myself for the way that this stupid little show was going to change my life. From a 6-person crew to COVID shutdown to completely reformatting the show and going live for the first time, I've had some of the highest points of my career here and some of the best times and moments of my entire life. To my friends and dedicated crew, Gavin, Addie, Craig, Alex, Ash, Devin, Ethan, Jill, Anthony, Jules, Kay, Cole, Sam, Jonah, Kyle, Callie, Alexa, Danny, Brendan, who else did I write here? Aaron, Cade, and everyone else over the past 4 years, but especially Dale, for your perseverance and your patience when literally everything seems to be going wrong, and forgiving me for being late every single week and sometimes a little sloppy with my technical directing. But to Nick, I think it's time to admit that in high school I wanted to be your friend so bad. I could literally not be more happy that this is the way that our lives have turned out. You know this already, but you are just so smart. You're always one step ahead of me, and thank you for being there to catch all my mess ups. Thank you for anchoring with me all those years ago and for coming to Point Park just so that I could manipulate you into working with me and being my friend. And Grace, are you ready? Because yes, this has just been an entire ploy to get you to cry. It's been amazing working with you, teaching you, seeing you grow. You have so much talent and so much drive. Don't let this school take it from you. Fine, I will admit it. You were right every time that you called me a boss-ass bitch, but I think that it's time that I can pass that title down to you. I know that you're ready to take the reins and to continue to be curious and to be hungry to constantly make yourself better. Both you and Nick will surpass me in knowledge next year, and I have never, ever doubted either one of your capabilities. To the rest of our amazing crew, reporters, anchors, and people that behind the scenes that have kept this ship afloat for the past 4 years, know that I could have never done it without you and that you've all changed my life way more than I've changed yours. This year has been but a pebble in the ocean for the rest of your careers, and each one of you has an amazing future ahead of you. Please never, ever hesitate to reach out to me for anything, literally professional advice, cover letter feedback, or just someone to talk to. Know that my phone is always on and my inbox is always open. I would love if I had the chance to help you with your future careers and lives, and please keep me updated with each and every one of your successes. I know that this is dumb and nobody else ever gets this upset, but truly I could not have picked a better place to learn. This is the environment to fuck up. This is the environment to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow. And I'm glad that I could be a part of your journey. Thank you for letting me guide you, and thank you for guiding me. But does anyone else feel like that was an obituary? Because I swear that I'm not dying. I'm just graduating, and I will be around. But for the last time, thank you for tuning into this episode of NewsNight. And if you want to see more of these amazing people's work, you can check out our social media pages on Facebook and Instagram at UVU Television. You can also check out more episodes next year on our YouTube channel or our website, uview.pointpark.edu. I'm Zoe Vitelli, and from everyone here at NewsNight, thank you for watching, and they will see you next semester.